Good morning. I'm Dr. Sanjay Jain, Associate Professor in Mathematics at SPC Government College, Ajmer. Today, I'm taking lecture on Chapter 2 Continuum Mechanics Analysis of the Stress in a Continuum. I have taken 7 part of this chapter, and in today's lecture, we are discussing principal stresses and principal excesses. These are very important two things, principal stresses and principal excesses. And question on this must be asked in some way in exams. In that part, first we define what is principal stresses, how we obtain, and there are two theorems on principal stresses which we have to derive, and a numerical is taken at last. So in all, any one question can be made for an example, for an exam. So let's start principal stresses and principal excess. Let a point P in the continuum is given to us, and at that point P, stress vector acting on an area whose normal is Ni is given by, we already seen this or studying this, that sigma I is nothing but sigma ji and j. Sigma I is an stress vector which can easily written in that form, which we already studied earlier. At any point P in continuum, stress vector can be written in this form. Okay. Now, the important thing which we require is that we now seek a direction. That is very important. We now seek a direction Ni, if any exists. If such a type of direction, if we get Ni, for which the stress vector will be normal to the area. That is very important line. We need a direction if it is exist for which the stress vector will be normal to the area surrounding the point P. That is such a case, then stress vector can be written as sigma I is nothing but sigma Ni by the definition of normal. Okay, so this is second form if Ni direction is exist. Okay, in the normal direction of that area. So these two equations are very important. One is already we studied. Second, we are now we taking a direction if exist for which stress vector is normal to the area, then it can be written sigma is equal to sigma Ni. Okay. Now, where sigma, only sigma without indices, is the magnitude of the stress vector, means it is numerical value, such a direction Ni is called a principal direction. Now it is become definition of principal direction, that is Ni, the line. Now I again repeat, we now seek a direction Ni, if any, for which the stress vector will be normal to the area. Such a direction is called, Ni is called principal direction, and the corresponding stress magnitude sigma without indices is called a principal stress. So this second line is a very important which define whatever, what is the principal direction and what is the principal stress. Both are connected by this equation. Sigma I is nothing but sigma n I. Okay, so here is the definition of principal stress and principal direction. Hence, given the stress tensor sigma ij at P, the condition for determining the principal stress and their corresponding direction is. Now we want to derive how do we get principal direction and principal stresses. So we are using again these two equations, 2.43 and 2.43, and without naming sigma I is equal to sigma ni, using these two to reform, and we get 2.44. In 2.44 you can understand the last term, which is very important. Here sigma I is equal to sigma ji nj, we know. If it is in a principal direction or stresses, then it can be written as sigma ni. Now the last term, what we are doing here, sigma as it is, ni can be written as conical ij nj. When conical ij becomes 1, I barabar j, then it again becomes to sigma ni. Now it can written, ni can be written as conical ij nj. Okay, so taking in this equation, second term sigma ji nj and the last term sigma conical ij nj combinedly. So we get equation 2.45, in which nj is common, taking outside. So we get the equation sigma ji minus sigma conical ij nj becomes 0. Okay, this is a very important equation 2.45. These three homogeneous algebraic equation together with, when we substitute ij is equal to 1 2 3, so it becomes three equations. Okay, so this is combined equation, which are we are using this very much in our next pages, or for finding the ni and sigma. Okay, now also we know that ni is equal to 1. Just you know, I dot I, j dot j, k dot k are what? 1. But I dot j, j dot k, k dot I. Similarly for principal direction, ni dot ni should be 1. Okay, sum of direction cosines square is 1, we know. So here n1 square plus n2 square plus n3 square is equal to 1, which can written as ni equals to 1. So what we getting, 3 equation by 2.45 and 1 equation ni equals to 1, 2.46. So we are getting here 4 equation with 4 unknown. What is the 4 unknown? Sigma and ni, I varying from 1 to 3. So total 4 unknown, and we have 4 equations. So we can find out the value of 4 unknowns from 4 equations, as we know. Now 4 unknown. Okay, equation 2.45, what we are seeing in this, that n1 equals to n2 equals to n3 equals to 0. This is very absurd equation, because what we are seeing, ni is equal to 1. Okay, so I think each ni can't be 0. So ni n1, n2, n3 separately if equals to 0 be the trivial solution, but it does not exist for the non-trivial solution. So this is not valid since they must satisfy the condition ni dot equals to 1. Okay, so we go on the next slide. Since the determinant of the coefficient of ni in the set of three equation, that is 2.45, we are taking the determinant of this equation. Okay, setting the determinant of the coefficient equal to 0 gives, why 0 gives, because nj can't be 0 in 2.45 equation, because ni equals to 1. So remaining term sigma ij minus sigma conical ij, determinate value is a numerical value which can be 0. So we are taking this for the non-trivial solution. Okay, so we are taking this as 0. When opening this, we get a determinate value of 3 cross 3. Okay, that becomes 2.48. Okay, now 2.49, when we open this determinant as this, where we have some notation using here minus sigma cube, because all the diagonal terms having minus sigma, so on multiplying this we get minus sigma cube plus h theta sigma square minus phi sigma plus psi equals to 0. This is a cubic equation. What is the value of theta h? Nothing but the terms all containing the same I indices, like sigma II, means there are coming the term sigma 11, sigma 22, sigma 33, all coming into the under the umbrella of theta h. Okay, coefficient of sigma square. Now coefficient of sigma denoted by phi, and what is the value of phi? It is written here, multiplication of same term and different term of sigma ij. Okay, last psi, this is nothing but determinate value of only sigma ij. Okay, so these are the three notation which we are using in 2.49. This is very important thing, because this equation is a cubic equation giving the three value of sigma which are principal stresses. So we get by this equation principal stresses. Okay, so this is a very important equation, and we have to find all these value of theta h, phi and psi. Okay, now as we already studied that stress tensor or uh, stress tensor are symmetric invariant, and due to invariant, if we take without bar system here or taking bar system to set transformation law, so these three quantities theta h, phi and psi in the next notation or in the bar notation. Okay, so compare another set of the independent stress invariant that are related to the set of stress invariant introduced in earlier section. We have already studied. These are usually carried the first, second and third stress invariant respectively. As it is, we can write these are as 2.51. Okay, 2.50 in non bar system and 2.51 in bar system due to invariantness. Okay, so what we are these are the terms important written here. What we are saying, the last equation 2.49 is a cubic equation in sigma I, which will yield three principal stresses, namely let we say sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3. So we get three different or same, we don't know, three stress, principal stresses. Now we shall proceed that these principal stresses, the three principal stresses which we solve here, are they real and are they different to each other, or the direction which we are taking Ni for them, are they principal direction are mutually orthogonal or not. So these are the different properties of these principal stresses and principal directions, which are taken to solve by two different theorem, which are as good as this article. Sometime this article is asking, sometime theorem is asking in exam, sometime numerical is asking in this exam, in a big question coming in the exam. So out of these three, we have to ready to prepare any one question which are also coming in the next exam. Now theorem first. What the theorem first says, if sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, which we are getting from equation 2.45 after solving, okay, are all different. We have to prove they all are different, not the same or equal. Okay, they all are different. Then the principal direction are orthogonal to each other. Here we assume that sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3 all are different. In such case, or then the principal direction are orthogonal to each other. Okay, what we are doing for that, we know that three principal directions, n1, ni1, ni2 and ni3, be the three principal direction corresponding to sigma 1 first principal stresses, sigma 2 second principal stresses, and sigma 3 third principal stresses. Corresponding to that, ni1, ni2, ni3 are the three principal direction. From equation 2.45 we have, for sigma 1 and sigma 2 we can written like this. We have write an equation in 4 notation in earlier page. I just revise here. Yeah, this one 2.44 in 4 notation it is written, which we using here. Yeah, in two forms. Okay, what is this equation 2.45 for sigma 1 and sigma 2? Here we are taking only two terms, not the all three stresses. We are taking two, then another two, then another two. We are showing this in the combination. If 1 and 2 are different, 2 and 3 are different, 3 and 1 are different, then all are different. Okay, so we are taking here this method. So we are taking here only sigma 1 and sigma 2. So it can be written for sigma 1 to equation 2.52 can be written as sigma ji and j is nothing but sigma ni. So using here one sigma for one first principal stresses, so it can be written as sigma ji and j1 equals to sigma 1 and j1. Similarly, 2.53 for sigma 2, that is sigma ji and j2 is nothing but sigma 2 and ni2. Okay, so these are the two relation 2.52 and 2.53. What we are doing here, what we are seeing here, the equation 2.51 is only in 1 and 2.52 only in 2, so not in a comparable form. So what we are doing here, we are multiplying in different mode, that is equation 2.52 multiplied by ni2 and equation 2.53 multiplied by ni1. So both equation having ni1 and ni2. Okay, So multiplying these and written like this 2.54 and 2.55. These equations are obtained when multiplying by different mode 2.52 and 2.53 convert into 2.54 and 2.54. Okay, due to the symmetry property of the stress tensor, we know that stress tensor are symmetric, means sigma ji can be written as sigma ij. Okay, so left hand side of the equation 2.54 and 2.55 are identical. Now it becomes same left hand side. Therefore, after subtracting, what we get, equation 2.56 we get, in which both Ni1 and Nj2 are common. So we taking common part different. So we get sigma 1 minus sigma 2 in the bracket, and Ni1 and Nj2 common is 0. But what we know that uh, in this, by this equation 2.56, either sigma 1 minus sigma 2 becomes 0, or Ni1 or Ni1 or Nj2 becomes 0. There are two multiplication of two terms are 0. So either first term 0 or second term 0. So what we are, but sigma 1 and sigma 2 were already, we assume that they are different. So difference of these are not 0. So sigma 1 minus sigma 2 can't be 0. So Ni1 and Nj2 may be 0. Okay, so if two principal directions become 0, what it shows, I dot j 0 means I and j are perpendicular. So similarly here ni1 and ni2 are 0. This is recognized as the dot product of the two vector of ni1 and ni2, and since the magnitude of ni1 and ni2 do not vanish, numerical value of ni1 and ni2 are not vanishes. So ni1 dot ni2 0, this shows that these two vectors must be perpendicular, or in other term we say ni1 or ni2 are orthogonal. So which we have to prove that two terms ni1 and ni2 are orthogonal. Similarly, we can prove the same result for 2 and 3 and 3 and 1, and combinedly we togetherly we can say that sigma 1 sigma 2 sigma 3 are different, then principal direction are orthogonal to each other. 1 orthogonal to 2, 2 orthogonal to 3, 3 orthogonal to 1. It means all are orthogonal to each other. This is theorem 1. Now we are taking second theorem, that principal stresses are all real. What we know, there are three principal stresses because it is an cubic equation, and we have to prove all principal stresses are real. Okay, we have to prove this. So as we know that the stress tensor are real, the invariant of coefficient of the cubic equation, so if it is a cubic equation, then it gives the three different root. Okay, three different root. By the theory of equation which we studied earlier, at least one of the root of the cubic roots must be real. It is coming from theory of equation. What is theory of equation saying? That whenever you have an odd roots, because imaginary roots are in pair. Okay, so in three roots at least one root should be real. Okay, so what we are doing, we are taking here that one root is cubic equation must be real, at least one root of the root be real. Okay, so what we are taking, let sigma 1 1 dash is equal to sigma 1 be the real. If it is real in equation 2.58, then sigma 1 1 dash equals to sigma 1 be the real, then sigma 1 2 dash and sigma 1 3 dash should be 0. when we taking real sigma 1 1. Okay, substituting these values of 2.58 in the determinant from which we get the cubic equation. Okay, when substituting in this we get cubic equation 2.60. Okay, in which we know that one of the root of this equation is obviously sigma 1. Okay, when solving this we get one factor common, sigma 1 minus sigma outside, and remaining quadratic factor in inside. Okay, so one as we already assumed that sigma 1 is an real root, and therefore sigma 1 is an real, so one root is an a common outside. So for remaining two roots we need the solution of quadratic equation. Okay, one of the root of equation obviously sigma 1 and the other two roots given by the quadratic in sigma I. Okay, when solving this remaining quadratic equation available in 2.60 by our systematic method, or what we are taking discrement, under root b square minus 4ac. Here we are taking b square minus 4ac. When we solving b square minus 4ac, what we get? We get sum of square quantity, sum of two square quantities sum, which can't be negative. Okay, so it is a greater than 0 by equation 2.61, means b square minus 4ac is greater than 0. It means remaining two roots are real. One root is already taken real and two roots are real, as we can prove. Okay, so by this theorem we can prove that all the roots, all the stresses of the principal are all real. Okay, so this is our second theorem which we have to prove. Okay, to summarize, it has been shown that the principal stresses all are real if they are also distinct. Okay, the problem arises when they are not distinct, when they are equal. Then what is the difference? You can understand here. Then there exist, if they are distinct, then there exist three principal axes that are orthogonal to each other, which we seen in the first theorem. Okay, now what happen when roots are, or principal stresses are not distinct? It means equal. If two or three of the principal stresses are equal, then there may be an infinite number of principal direction. This is very important, because they are equal, then the trivial solution not exist, means ni equals to 1 not exist, or ni dot nj is not equal to 0. It means there are infinite number of principal direction. So this is the main difference. When root are distinct, it is finite principal direction. When root are not distinct or equal, the direction of principal are infinite. Okay, so this is the difference. Now we are taking one example here to find the principal stresses and direction of the at the point 1 to 4. This is a very solution of this is in a very important type. Any question can be given in the form of sigma ij, but procedure is what, how to find this as numerically, which we are studying at theoretically. To find the principal stresses, we always taking a determinant sigma ij minus sigma conical ij equals to 0. Sigma ij is given to us and sigma we are taken are the principal stresses. So sigma conical ij becomes the diagonal terms, because it is equals having value 1 when I barabar j. I barabar j having in the diagonal form. Okay, because 1 1 2 2 3 3 exists, then it is only 1. So this sigma occur in the diagonal only. This is shown by the red lines also. Okay, so for that case, given numerical, our determinant becomes this one, and solving this we get this cubic equation easily. This is an easy form, nothing to do here. The term involving higher in the next slide. Yeah, this one. At the point 1 to 4, when we substituting 1 to 4, we get this cubic equation in the form of sigma bracket sigma I square minus 5c square bracket close equals to 0. So there are three factors easily. Sigma a square minus b square is what? A plus b and a minus b. Okay, so we get three values of sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3. Sigma 1 is outside, so directly it is 0. That is written as sigma 2 is equal to 0. Sigma 1 is c under root 5, and sigma 3 is equal to c minus c under root 5, as a plus b, a minus b. So a barabar plus b, a barabar minus b. So we get these three values of principal stresses. Sigma 1 is nothing but c under root 5. Sigma 2 is equal to 0. Sigma 3 is equal to c under root 5. These are the three principal stresses. Now the important thing is that how to find principal direction, three principal direction. Okay, so we are taking the cubic equation easily, 2.45 and 2.46, ni equals to 1, as we are studied earlier. Putting all the value, we get these equations from 2.45 and from 2.46. Ni dot ni is equal to 1. These are the three equations which are solving for the values of n1, n2, n3. Okay, so these are very important equation. In the books they can rightly on solving, they can write the value of ni1, three component of ni1 directly, but the algebraic method is very tedious to find these three, because we have getting four equation and we need to solve ni1 part, n11 and 12 and 113 for first direction. Okay, so this is a very typical form which we are showing how it is obtained in the next slide, but here we written directly the value of ni1, and similarly on solving this for I barabar 1, I barabar 2 or ijkr 1 2 3, we get ni2 and ni3. Okay, so these two set of sign association with each of the unit vector means that the point either of the two direction is 180 degree apart from the principal axis. This means that ni1 and ni3 are same, only change in sign. You can see easily ni1 and ni3 are only change in the sign after solving. So they have only apart 180 degree because they are only change in directions. Okay, so these are 180 degree apart from the principal axis. Sometime this question which is written in the ink pen here may also ask in the exam to prove that 180 degree apart. This is from this ni1 and ni3 are only change in the direction, and numerically they are same, so it shows that they are 180 degree apart. Now how ni1 is obtained from these four equations is showing in the next slide. This one. This is an algebraic method. What we are doing, putting the value of all terms here at given point 1 to 4, and we get these equation after subtracting or many algebraic method uses here. We get a relation between ni1 to ni2, ni2 to ni3, and then eliminating method is applied, and finally we get n31 is nothing but plus minus under root 2 in first rectangle box, and then again putting this value in the previous equation or back substitution, we get ni1 is nothing but minus plus 2 root 10, and in the last we get n2 1 is nothing but plus minus 1 by root 10. Okay, so these is the method of solving this, which is written directly here in the book. Okay, so this is an homework to you, how you obtain ni2 and ni3 similarly and solve this is a very big question. Okay, so you have to practice it first, because one of the numerical is also asked in the exam, either two theorem or derivation or numerical example. One of the main important part of principal stresses or principal direction must be asked in the exam. So today we are ending here. Thank you.